Hey everyone, today we have over 40 tips and tricks for Warzone 2 from beginner to advanced tips and everything in between. No BS. Let's get right to it. We start off with the tip of you getting to run a third weapon. If you do get the medium or large backpack item, you will be able to hold a third gun. This is great to make yourself more versatile, as you could carry an SMG or a sniper in the bag to extend your options at all ranges. Keep in mind that you will need to store extra ammo for that specific third weapon in your bag, so be on the lookout for this if your third gun is not sharing ammo with your other two weapons. Sticking with the theme of backpacks, you can store even more ammo than the limit of the ammo you are using on your guns. Your backpack can pretty much store everything, so theoretically, you could be running around with 500 or more rounds of a specific ammo type if you know you are going to be spraying or running something like 2 assault rifles. Similar to this, you could stock up on a lot more sniper ammo if you are a more passive player and you want to be poking people a little bit more without moving. It does appear like you can only hold 3 extra plates at a time since they do appear on the bottom of your screen, but in your bag, you can hold many more. This is similar to the previous ammo tip where you can hold a dozen or more plates due to the way your backpack works. You just have 3 by default that are considered in your loadout. Upon landing, if you find a 3-plate armor vest, this is pretty powerful since it does give you an early advantage in your health pool. If you get one quickly off the drop, it would be wise to push enemies and take advantage of this. Another tip is that you can pick this item up and carry it to your teammates if they are falling behind or if you are falling behind. This will help speed up your pace of play without necessarily traveling backwards just for them to pick up an item. Love or hate the new gulag aside, there's a nice tip that you should be aware of that does relate to the 3-plate armor vest. The vest actually does spawn on the ground in the gulag. I am not sure if it is there every time, but I have seen it quite a bit. If you pick up the 3-plate vest, this will carry with you after you win the gulag, which is pretty nice. And once you pick it up in the gulag, you can actually apply plates to have a health advantage over your enemies. Since Warzone 2 is pretty new, I'm not quite seeing a ton of tactical play as yet, but I think as the meta progresses, you will be wise to try and hold multiple different tacticals in or lethals in your bag to better prepare yourself for engagements. You do have all that bag space for a good reason. Most specifically though, carrying an extra tactical like a smoke grenade might be super clutch if you are in a very open endgame area with little to no cover around. It also might not be too bad to hold on to something like a heartbeat sensor so you can more easily clear and check buildings. There's a lot of possibilities when it does come to this, so just be creative. If you've played the new Warzone at all, you've probably been struggling to get cash as it's absolutely more sparse this time around, but a big tip is that cash registers on the map are literally OP. They can have anywhere from a couple $100s to literally thousands in them. If you get a little lucky, you could have enough money to buy a weapon after just a few of these. Since we are on the topic of cash, let's talk about buildings. It's worth mentioning a little bit more about the design of Warzone 2's map. Buildings are just straight up more unique than the previous Warzone maps. This is good to know as some buildings are easily identifiable as to what they might contain, much like cash registers or lots of chests and loot. Specifically, be on the lookout for stores and gas stations as these basically always have money in them. There's 3 specific cash spots I want to recommend that you look out for. For one, the old school MW2 terminal area is actually crazy in terms of money, specifically the main terminal area or check-in area. I'd land here if you want a ton of cash, but just be warned, the main multiplayer map area does not seem to have that many weapons, so this could be a problem. Second is the small set of buildings or towns south of Said City on the other side of the water. There's quite a few cash registers here, and it's definitely worth checking out. Third is going to be Al Mazrah City, northeast of Modern Warfare 2's high rise. There's a wild amount of registers here, and you should be walking out easily with over 10k, giving you enough to buy a couple weapons. It's really never been faster to get a kitted out weapon or your loadout gun if you are using the previous cash tips. The best way to get this is to save your first 5k and buy one weapon from a buy station very early on. This gives you a nicely kitted weapon for really not much effort, and the faster you get this, the better you will be during the early game. When it comes to finding a buy station or coming across them more naturally during the course of game, it's harder to do this in Warzone 2 when compared to Warzone 1, mainly because there are a lot less buy stations around. It is wise to be mindful of the buy station locations when you are dropping, so you can land near or adjacent to these. Otherwise, you might not be able to get your weapon as quick as you want to. A second way you can get a loadout, and in my opinion, the second best way, is going to be a little bit more than halfway through the match when a world drop comes in. This is about 14 to 15 minutes into the game, and the traditional Warzone care package will be dropped from the sky containing your loadouts. Just note that everyone in the lobby can converge on these and see where the loadouts are being dropped. This is slightly better than the buy station as well, since you are going to get your perks, whereas the buy station, you're just getting the fully kitted weapon. The third and alternate way to get your loadout is to buy a weapon and then push a stronghold at about 10 seconds left when the first ring is about to start closing. Completing these strongholds is done by eliminating the NPCs and defusing the bomb in the area. This will give you your loadie, but it does come with the risk of killing NPCs and getting third-party converged on as these are going on. They don't take that much time to do, but you may not always be able to really do these with effectiveness, as only a limited number of strongholds spawn, and they can be pretty far away from you based on how lucky you get. This is a fine way to get your loadie, and it is pretty quick, but I personally don't love going into an NPC shooting simulator, and I would rather just go straight into the action of finding other enemies. Which perks you want to run kind of depends on your playstyle, but since you won't get perks every time in Warzone, and since you only have one custom perk package, this means what you pick is very important. You can run overkill, but I think it's so easy to just buy a weapon from buy stations that it's really not needed to get overkill, and it's kind of just a waste. A great perk set is going to be double time and then battle hardened, so you aren't getting stunned or flash pushed as badly. You could also alternate this and go bomb squad as well. Tracker isn't too bad either to see enemy death markers. For the second or the first perk to complement this though, I would always run double time. For the bonus perk, I'm almost exclusively running fast hands just to be more aggressive and have quicker reloads. When it comes to the ultimate perk, this kind of depends on your playstyle again, but I really enjoy running Ghost. Since many players don't get perks compared to Warzone 1, having Ghost is kind of OP when you do get around aggressive squads who are calling in a lot of UAVs. High Alert is of course great to tell when you are getting stared at, and Quick Fix is nice for an instant health replenish and can sometimes matter, but in general, you're still going to have to apply plates to be more healthy for a fight. Of course, and I know you want it, I'm going to take a few seconds to recommend a few weapons that do not take too much time to grind to unlock and are going to perform very well with not that many attachments. The first is Attack 56 or the Scar. This is unlocked at level 19 and is very good even with no attachments. If you want my kit that works very well, for an optic I'm running the VLK 4.0. For a barrel I have the 17.5 Tundra. The muzzle I got the Harbinger D20. The underbarrel I got the FSS Sharkfin 90. And for the magazine I am running the 40 round mag, so I can have a little bit more quickness rather than that 60, which is a little bit slow. For pushing and aggressive plays, the Fennec is unlocked at level 38, and it's pretty insane when it does come to its time to kill. The Fennec does lack a little bit overall damage per mag though, but there's very few weapons that will beat it outright. This makes the Fennec a very good weapon in a one-on-one, but it could struggle a little bit in a multi-enemy fight. My current kit that works very well for rushing and pushing is going to be the VLK Laser 7MW, the FSS Sharkfin 90, the 45 round mag, the Fennec rubber grip, and the F-Tac Loctite stock. This is definitely kitted out for being super aggressive and pushing everyone like a crazy person. If you are looking for what is probably the best SMG right now, the Lockman sub is the better overall gun. It does require a little bit to unlock though, as you need to unlock the Lockman 556 to level 12, before that the Lockman 762 to level 12, and then before that you need to get the Lockman 762 unlocked by reaching level 16. It's a little bit of a grind if you can't tell, and everyone may not want to commit to this in the long run, but if you want the best SMG for the close range that can take on a lot of enemies, I would look at the Lockman sub. We have more to talk about with weapons, but it is worth mentioning a bit more in terms of how to win fights in Warzone 2, especially when you compare it to Warzone 1. Positioning is really king in Warzone 2 since there's really no crazy slide cancel movement, and in general, the pace of play is more like a battle royale than a COD multiplayer match. It's much harder to out-duel and out-finesse your enemies when they get the first shot, so having high ground, ring positional awareness, and overall, just a better understanding of cover is going to be the way to win more fights, so take care in this and try not to be as crazy with pushing across open areas to fight that squad. If you are looking for a weapon that you can't just level up and it's kind of going to do it all, it's going to depend on the attachments you put on it, but it is going to be again the M4 assault rifle, much like it was in Warzone 1. Since this is a starter weapon, it's also great that everyone has it already unlocked. Just note that if you are kitting it out for close range only, and really any assault rifle or any weapon in Warzone 2, you definitely are going to need to use it as such, as a recoil for assault rifles like this is a lot harder to control, as they really do bounce around everywhere. For Warzone 2, sniping is kind of needed if you are really trying to engage enemies at any sort of distance, since damage drop-off of anything less than a marksman or sniper is extremely harsh in my opinion. My preferred longer range poking weapon right now is going to be the EBR, as this thing melts and is unlocked at level 1. It does use more ammo than a sniper, so carrying reserves in your backpack is a technique I think many will want to implement. My kitted EBR that works quite well is going to be the 22-inch Boremaster barrel, the Polar Fire S muzzle, the 20 round mag, the hybrid Firepoint optic, and the F-Tac Valor stock. We have a lot more to discuss, but do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps a ton, and also drop a follow on my Twitter if you want more content and my insights and my thoughts on Warzone 2 and more. Buckle up, because weapon tuning I think is something people are making overly complex, as it looks like there's a lot of customization to this, but it's kind of linear when it comes to what you really want. If you are unaware, or if you haven't tried this in MW2's multiplayer, this is basically when a gun gets maxed out in level, you can further increase its capabilities for certain attachments by clicking on the tuning button for the individual attachment. Not every attachment does get tuning though, as magazines, ammunition, and laser does not get this feature. Also, not every tuning is going to be exactly the same depending on the gun you are using, so just be aware of that. I cannot go over every single tuning option for every type of attachment, but here are my best recommended tuning for each attachment category. For muzzle, definitely gun kick control for the bottom and recoil stabilization for the left. Aim down sight speed does very little in terms of its bonuses, and I think it's negligible. For the barrel, damage range for the bottom, and for the left column, you'll want recoil steadiness. Under barrel, bottom you'll want aiming stability for assault rifles, and left column you'll want recoil stabilization. Aim walking speed for SMGs might be worth it, but much like ADS speed, the benefits feel very low. As for optics, it depends on the weapon, but generally tuning for far or more zoom is better. Close range can be okay for some SMGs if you want more awareness when you are aiming down sights, but overall, I find it not to be worth it, and I'd rather be more zoomed in on my target. Aim down sight is going to be the king for the left column. For stocks, the bottom I go for aiming idle stability for ARs and longer range weapons, and I'll do aim walking speed for close range weapons. Left column, I'll do aim walking steadiness. You may want to do ADS speed for stuff like snipers or marksman weapons where you aren't really walking and firing. And then for the grips, sprint to fire speed for the bottom and recoil steadiness for the left. Hopefully this was not too much to absorb, but remember, you can tweak things and try it out in the range to see if you like what you adjusted. If you are frustrated or think your looting is slow, it could be because your interact and reload behavior setting is not correct for your roller players out there. Prioritizing interact is the best setting to better pick up items and not have to hold on every single item you want to grab. An additional setting for you controller players is to use the Black Ops aim assist setting. This has been tested and proven to give you the most snappy feel, which is optimal. Console players can rejoice. If you are unaware, you can finally increase your FOV, and I would recommend this to be anything over 100 so you can get a ton more situational awareness. There has been a ton of funny moments coming out of proximity chat, but a very useful tip is that the distance you can hear enemies is about 50 meters. This is important, as if you do hear someone, you have a decent indicator to generally how close they are. We mentioned holding extra tactical and throwable items earlier, but if you aren't aware, you can hold extra kill streaks in your backpack. Same with stealth revives. Carrying some extra UAVs or multiple types of kill streaks depending on the fight might be nice if you are looking to have some extra playmaking potential depending on the area you are in. Just note that you will need a medium or large backpack to hold these items. A kill streak that is pretty broken right now is going to be the bomb drone or the cluster mines. Absolutely do not sleep on these. These are crazy strong and very hard to actually counter when they are approaching. When these go off, it's like a dozen grenades or a car bomb goes off and it will obliterate anyone around them. I would expect a nerf to these in the future, but take advantage of them for now, as they also seem to spawn on the ground fairly regularly. Warzone 2's ascending zip lines or building rappel locations are much more fluid and useful than Warzone 1's were. You have a lot more control over your character's movement when you are on them, plus multiple players can use them at once. You can even juke enemies by jumping off mid-ascend and then attaching to the zip line again when you are flying. Just be aware that you can be super flexible with your playmaking now, and you can do emergency jump offs if you need to. An old tip, but still a very good one, is to ping any contract you are trying to locate its exact location. If you can't tell if it's on the roof or the second floor or something like this, pinging it will guide you directly to that contract. Somewhat back to getting cash and loot, be on the lookout for some safe cracker contracts. This is kind of like Warzone 1 scavenger contracts, and you'll get some nice money and loot in each safe that you find when you activate this contract. Maybe not extremely useful, but if you and the squad want some good laughs, you can't do drive-bys in vehicles now, as you are capable of leaning out the windows and firing at your enemies. This can be fun to enter a battle in a creative way. If you've been playing Call of Duty for quite some time, you're gonna recognize some locations, as Warzone 2's map does contain a few old school COD maps. Some of these are gonna be the OG Modern Warfare Showdown in Akhtar Village, Modern Warfare 2's Terminal at the airport, High Rise in Al Mazrah City, Quarry in Quarry, Afghans in the Cave Complex, and Rust in Tarak's Village. And then you do have Modern Warfare 3's Dome at the Observatory. Let me know if you want more on my particular loadouts or anything else in Warzone, as I know this is not quite the normal type of content we do around here. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.